All right. Well, good day, everybody. This is Jim DeManis from Rock Advisors. Thank you so much for joining us. We're very fortunate today. We've got Ho Tech with Domus Student Housing joining us. Ho, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Great. Thank you for inviting me on this webinar.
Yeah, my pleasure. So we've just got your bio up, and Ho, maybe you can just give us a quick overview of who you are and how you got how Domus started and the association there, and then we'll run right into your presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. So Domus Student Housing was started in 2006 by my business partner. It was Tara Brower. It started with 35 rooms and has grown into the largest student housing property management firm in Waterloo, managing almost over $270 million in assets and almost 3,000 rooms. Among other things, we've been selected as Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2012, and we were also selected for the Junior Achievements Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2012. We didn't win both of them. We lost both of them to a tech company, so maybe we should be in the tech world. But it's something that's really interesting, and we just continue to grow and move into other markets across the country with the purpose of becoming the largest student housing property management firm in Canada.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's well, good for you, and congratulations on your achievements. Those of us here at Rock, we've had the good pleasure and the good fortune of partnering with Domus on a few projects, and we can say in all honesty that they are a top-notch outfit. Tara and Ho have really created a phenomenal company and a phenomenal team in Waterloo, and we have, we have no hesitation in saying that you guys are just going to continue to grow and dominate this industry. So congrats.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So what we thought we would do for those that are listening today is I thought we'd have Ho, this is his presentation, and we just want him to kind of walk us through who Domus is, what they do, talk a little bit about the market, and just to give you a flavor of what student housing is all about. And then obviously I'll probably have some questions for you, Ho. But I think this is very exciting. I mean, student housing, insofar as an investment, is really becoming more and more popular in Canada. I think we're I don't know if there's a student housing REIT in Canada just yet, but certainly we have heard that there are organizations and companies that are sort of at the cusp of doing that. So it's a growing market. It's an exciting market. It has its own nuances and special way of managing, which I know you're going to talk about. But certainly from an investment perspective, Rock Advisors has done quite a few student housing deals, and Brad McGill, who is our student housing expert, would be more than happy to speak with you, and obviously the good people at Domus would be pleased to speak with you about managing or consulting and some of the other services they offer. So, Ho, let's start off.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to touch really quickly on the history of Domus. We're going to talk about the city of Waterloo and why it was so great for student housing, why it was the perfect storm for student housing. We're going to talk about the evolution of student housing and the changes that we're seeing within Waterloo and across Canada, and how do we make these students understand their actions have consequences? How do we make them see that they're not just a temporary staple in the community, but they're actually a part of the community.
Sure.
So again, I've already talked about a little bit about Domus, but it was founded in 2005 by Tara Brower with 35 rooms. Started with just leasing services for houses, and now includes leasing, management, and consulting for anything from the ground up all the way to lease up and management, facilities management, asset management for student housing. Our portfolio doubled in size each year to become the largest independent property management firm in Waterloo with almost 3,000 rooms. We were selected for a couple of awards as well. Tara was selected in 2013 as a finalist for the Oktoberfest Women of the Year Award. We employ a young workforce of about 20 employees. Now it's up to about 25 to 30.
Mm-hmm.
We manage a small student portfolio in Waterloo mainly of about $255 million in assets, and we have now expanded our operations to include projects in Kitchener, Cambridge, Kamloops, Ottawa, Windsor, and Toronto, among other places.
Great.
Right. Domus Student Housing is looking to continue to grow, and we're going to use our expertise, our experience, to make sure that investments are profitable for both the investor and make sure that it's successful for the students. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the City of Waterloo. The Intelligent Community Forum, the ICF, declared Waterloo the smartest city in the world in 2007. Right? And I think that's a pretty big claim. The reason for this is at that time, Research in Motion, which is now BlackBerry, was doing really well. The Perimeter Institute had a lot of great big minds going there. Open Text was there. Waterloo, and Conestoga College, three large secondary institutions were there with a lot of intelligent people going through the city. Right? Needless to say, Waterloo has experienced a really big boom in student housing. To support this many students and this many minds in Waterloo, they had to really change the way that they were thinking and the way that they were dealing with students within the marketplace. And because of this, we always throw out this fact, that Waterloo has more purpose-built student housing than all of the rest of Canada combined.
That's amazing. So how many beds do you know in total?
We're now over, I think we're probably around 12 or 13,000 beds. The rest of Canada probably has about 25 total. So
the rest of Canada. So that just tells you that it's an underserviced market outside of Waterloo anyway.
Absolutely, and that's something that we'll sort of touch base on later on too, just other markets that we can look into within student housing, right? And that's just it. It's a really growing market, and we want to make sure to take advantage of it as best we can. The great thing about this business is that this market has seen and experienced more than the rest of Canada combined because of this in terms of student housing in a very short amount of time, right? And so why is it like that? The City of Waterloo was a great place to start our business and to run our business. Because we had the three large universities. But the one thing that the City of Waterloo did was they've changed the outlook of students to foster growth and to foster it in the right way. They collaborate with the schools to create programs to help accept students as a part of the community versus just simply another subsection of the community, right? And a perfect example of this is we had a fire in a 200-bedroom student building here in Waterloo, and what happened was it was in the middle of winter. They had to get evacuated out of the building. And instead of letting them stand outside waiting for everything to happen, the city came along, got involved quite quickly. They got vacant buses, and the students went in there so that they could keep warm. The fire services came in, inspected the place, made sure everything was okay. And then after they were done, the students went back in, and the students that were displaced because of the fire, because their units were damaged or whatever, they were brought to vacant residence rooms and housed there for the night. And I think something like this is very, very intentional. We have to remember that this is a really big event, a fire. It wasn't a big one anyways, and no one got hurt, but it takes planned, deliberate coordination between the town, the schools, the private sector, which probably would be us, and essential services such as like the police and the fire, to make something like that happen so quickly and so efficiently.
No, I bet.
Right? Yeah, and then the other thing that they did very well was they changed the zoning to allow for growth, to support the growth that they were seeing within the schools, and they adapted to have multi-use buildings within the core of student areas. Instead of just having residential, they were starting to see residential mixed with commercial and other things.
Let me ask you this then. Obviously, the city played an instrumental role in, as you say, in the evolution of student housing and allowing it to flourish. Could you comment on other municipalities? Are they somewhat following suit, or is it something that they have to catch up to Waterloo?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's a great question, Jim. Like the reality is that everybody has to catch up to Waterloo in terms of student housing. But there are definitely communities out there and that are doing a good job of it. If you look at Oshawa, they're doing quite a bit of development for their students, so that they're not living in what we're going to see, which was the first set of student housing, which was duplexes, triplexes, converted houses, and everything. Oshawa is doing a very good job of it. If you look at Queens and Kingston, they're starting to get quite a bit of purpose-built student housing, albeit like more row townhousing versus straight-up buildings for students. It's still definitely better to have them in these newly built better managed, higher building standards and higher building codes to have the students living in a really safe environment for them to study and to live in.
Mm-hmm.
So there are definitely communities within Ontario especially that are really looking at Waterloo, and I think they need to continue to look at Waterloo to make sure that they're building in the right way and they don't make the same mistakes.
Same mistakes, yeah, sure. So this is kind of what, I mean, when I was going to school, to university, this is what student housing was, basements.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it, right? So you convert, you'd have a house. Sometimes the students, sometimes the people were living upstairs, and they'd rent out their basement to supplement some of the income and some of the expenses. What they found out eventually was instead of living there, they would move into other places, and they'd make the whole house a student property. So if you look at it, you're starting to see single-family homes that were converted into student housing, and you're going to see duplexes, triplexes, and everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then what happened was the evolution happened, and you're starting to see your first purpose-built student buildings. They're 5-bedroom, 2-bath buildings. They're wood and ICF construction, so there's wood and also concrete construction, and you'll see that everything is very similar.
Very modern.
Everything, right?
Yeah.
And then what would happen is, in order to get a competitive advantage, there were more bedrooms being built with attention being paid to finishes and interior design in comparison of the pictures from before to this one.
Mm-hmm.
Dark cabinets, nicer countertops. A lot of the places will have black appliances or stainless steel appliances, and you're getting bigger rooms with furnished options, right? You're giving the students more to work with, right? Past and beyond that, they started to build some of the very first ensuite rooms, and as you can see over here, you're seeing bed bath parity, 5 bedrooms, 5 baths versus 5 bedrooms and just 2 baths.
Right.
It's creating small individual spaces for the students to live and work out of, right? This is a video, and I don't know if you're going to be able to pull it up on the internet quickly, but it was a video of one of the buildings that we had.
Yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, try.
No, can't do it.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, sorry.
And you can have the link right over there, and you can go to it, right? But in the
sorry, I'm just going to go back here. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. What you're seeing over there is the new student housing. If you go into the next slide, you'll see the new student housing that's happening in Waterloo.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Exactly. Beautiful countertops, granite countertops, quartz countertops, bar stools with islands, peninsulas, and a lot of hard surfaces, as you can see. No more carpet. They're all hardwood, laminate, big screen TVs and everything. So that's what's happening now. They're moving into the luxury market.
So let's talk about that just momentarily. I know, for instance, having been in the States, student housing there obviously is quite well evolved, and some of the student housing complexes, even the off-campus ones, resemble big resorts more than anything else. So I know there's a lot of competition in the U.S., and so you've got this resort-style living that students are now expecting and or demanding. But here in Canada and obviously in Waterloo, are the students, are their expectations basically at par with what I'm seeing here? Like, who's leading the charge? Is it the student asking for these things, or are developers or companies such as Domus saying, no, this is what you need because this we need to be the trendsetter? So can you talk about the market and what's driving this incredible upswing in finishes and detail and such?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're seeing what you're seeing in America, and we're going to look at some slides later on about that, is just like the idea that it's bigger and better in America, right? And so here in Waterloo and here in Ontario, Canada, you're seeing that in its infancy, right? This is a perfect example of this. Sage, luxury purpose-built condos. Individual investors, instead of buying a 200-bedroom building, they can go in and they can buy a 1- or 2-bedroom condo, invest with the rest of the student world, right? But as you can see, granite countertops, ensuite laundry in every single one of them, island peninsulas, stainless steel appliances, beautiful finishes, beautiful furnishings, and you're starting to see amenity spaces with common areas where people can share and collaborate, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's driven not just simply by the market, it's driven by the developers too. Because there's so much building going on, in order to get a competitive advantage, they have to find ways to rent and to be better than the competition.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at America, like we're looking at it right now. This is an actual student property that's down in the States. As you can see, large sectional sofa. You can see a shuffleboard, ping pong, pool table,
Mm-hmm.
a Jets table. You can also see a fireplace and everything. This is a social lounge that they can go to. On the next slide, you're going to be able to see
Wow.
a swimming pool that they have, right? That would rival a lot of our schools over here, but on top of that, it's like a small little mini resort, and you can see in the corner also there's a large hot tub that they can all go into,
Sure.
right?
They didn't have this stuff while I was going to school. Just
Exactly,
saying.
didn't, right? And if you were to look at this picture, you would think this was probably the gym for Wilfrid Laurier or for Waterloo, right? And it's actually much better to a certain extent. This is a large workout facility for the residents of their properties, right? They have a large student population that's renting there, and they can be serviced by a large fitness room like this, right?
So
and they really enjoy it.
yeah, I bet they do. So, Ho, if is this something that the student has to pay extra for, or is this all included in the rents? And maybe you might be talking about rents a little further on in your presentation, but maybe you can just talk about that now. I mean, how does it work? How do they pay rent? What's the rent like, and is everything included in their rent?
Yeah, so we can talk about it in terms of in the States, you're seeing that the rents are a bit higher, and everything is included in that, right? Because the competition is so fierce over there, everybody has to have this, and everybody gets access to it. That rent price, you're seeing rents for around $850 and up for a bedroom in, let's say, a 4-bedroom unit. Here in Waterloo, we're moving towards that also, as they get access to social areas, social lounges, fitness rooms such as this. We're getting an all-inclusive pricing, usually plus something like hydro, right? That's the only variable cost. So, yeah, this is all included. They're not paying anything extra for this, right?
Really?
It's all a part of this student housing arms race that we've known that is happening already in the United States of America, and we're seeing it quite a bit now in Ontario with all of our new builds going. Right. This is an example of one of the rooms that they're getting. You can see that the furniture is new, modern, but very robust for students. In the corner, there's the ensuite bathroom, and then in the other corner, you're going to see a walk-in closet. That's something that I don't even have in my house, right?
No.
But every student at that complex gets access to this, and including this gym over here, a full-size gym to play basketball, to play any sports that you want to, right? Really, truly, the list just keeps on going on. On the next slide, you're going to see a theater room, right? With projector, a fully amenitized theater room where you can meet up with friends to go over presentations, learn, do whatever, or you could just sit down and watch a movie with your colleagues, right? On the next slide, I have a list of the different things that we're seeing for amenities down in the States. Private shuttles to campus, because generally they are a bit further away. The sites are a bit further away from the main campuses. But you're also seeing fitness centers that you saw, free tanning booths, which is unheard of over here, computer centers, business centers with free printing, full-size gyms, all the tables that you could ever play on, beach volleyball courts, video game consoles, the latest ones that they have, theater rooms, barbecue grills, basketball courts, swimming pools, hot tubs, and sun decks. Like, these are all things that would be comparable to a resort that you would see in Mexico or Jamaica, but this is what they're experiencing and living in.
So is this happening in Canada? Are you seeing the quality of finishes and the types of amenities? Are you seeing that here as well? Is this happening here?
Absolutely. So, like, first off, we didn't see it. Now we're starting to see the finishes come in. You saw in the pictures before, there was lots of granite, there was lots of stainless steel and hard surfaces. The next evolution of it is we're seeing a lot of the amenities come in. Theater rooms, social lounges, fitness rooms. Those are things that weren't even planned for before, but now they're being built into the developments that are going on over here. Any of the new developments that are going on, that are getting out of ground right now, usually have quite a bit of amenities, and if not all of them, some of them will definitely start showing up. And it's going to be climate appropriate too. We're probably not going to have the swimming pools per se, but we're definitely going to have hot tubs, rooftop patios, things like that.
Well,
that the student can take advantage of.
so let's say I'm a would-be student housing developer or merchant builder, and I want to learn a little bit more about the trends and what I should be doing. So, in addition to perhaps contacting yourself or Tara at Domus, what would your advice be to our listeners if they were interested in getting into this business and really wanting to find out
More.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we always say. Always go with the experts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to get a feasibility study done for the market that you're thinking of going in. If you don't have any idea, then you can contact someone like a Brad or someone that specializes in student housing, if
Mm-hmm.
that's the asset class you're going after. Go around, get a feel for the area and the school and the atmosphere, right? And if you feel that this is the right place to go into, see if there is land that you can purchase and develop. Get a feasibility study done and see if you want to take it to the next step, right? Take it to the next level to see if there's a gap between how much student housing there already is and how much is needed.
Sure. And
right?
what kind of rents do you see in the student housing world? I guess it's on a per room basis, right?
Absolutely. In the student housing world, per room, you're seeing anything from about $395 all the way up to $1,000 per room and
Per room. Wow.
Right, and that's something that we'll talk about. But in a market, let's say like in Windsor, you're going to pay $395 for a room. For that exact same room in Toronto, you probably might pay $600 or $700.
I get you.
Right? But again, the real estate's going to be cheaper in a place like Windsor versus a place like Toronto and development charges and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So really, when it all boils down to it, it is an investment. Is it going to make you money? How is it going to make you money? Those are all things that can't be answered by yourself. Get someone to look into it. I think it's really important that you spend the money in the right way to have the data to go in there and give yourself the best chance to succeed.
Sure.
Right? Contact us early on, Domus, so that we can help you out from the ground up, from the plans up, right?
Right.
And we say this from dirt to door, right? How are you going to lay out your suites? What makes sense? What kind of hardware are you going to use? We've experienced quite a bit. We know what works and what hasn't worked, and we're here to help you out the whole way. Don't call us in the very last couple of months when you need to get rented, because we won't be able to help you out in the same way.
Sure.
Right?
Good
So
advice.
There's a lot of advice out there. There's a lot of information, and there's a lot of expertise. Make sure to take it, right?
Good. So moving along, so students here.
Yeah, students, right? They're here to stay, right? And this is the thing. We have to find out the best way to work with these students. And I'm going to go into a bit of a tirade against the students. I think there are a lot of amazing students. There's a lot of amazing kids that are doing things that will just blow our minds, right? But the reality is that students are now going to school for longer. When I was going to university, college was a 2-year program. Now they're changing it, and they're making it 3-year programs, right? The undergrad, everybody has an undergrad because it's the new high school diploma. It's a bare minimum that you're going to need in order to get your foot into the door to get those corporate jobs. An MBA is something that pretty much everybody has to have in order to get into the business world. So, we have to remember this. So they're going to need housing for longer. Yeah. And because of this, also, the young professional sector, because they've been renting for longer, they've been living as a student for longer, we have to find housing for them as young professionals also, right? So just like before, they're going to be more used to rentals because they've been used to taking on debt. They won't have the down payment right out of school to take this on. Things to pay attention to, right? The iRevolution, we always talk about this, and it's the iPad, the iPhone, music, personalized music, headphones, whether it be $5 to $500, right? Everybody wants their own personal space. And this has been reflected in Waterloo by the abundance of 5-bed, 5-bath units where they get their own personal space, they get their own bathroom where they don't have to share with anybody, and if they need to, they're going to come out, congregate, and socialize with amongst each other. The students, what we're realizing now, they feel very entitled, and they're getting younger, not just physically as an age, but mentally with experience. You have to remember when they're leaving home, many of them haven't signed legal documents. They've never even left home, and they don't even know simple survival skills such as paying bills or resetting a breaker, or even they don't even know what a breaker is. Right. Right. We have to pay attention to that because now we have to change our marketing and change our processes to help support these students and these younger kids. And you might ask why they're like this. one of the reasons why is, and one of the main reasons is because of the parents.
Mm-hmm.
The parents are here. They're coming in with them to make their decisions. They're not letting the kids make the decisions themselves, right? So they're fighting the battles for their children. They're calling into our office. You know, if they have an issue, they'll take it upon themselves to call us every single day on the hour
Wow.
to make sure that their small issue has been dealt with properly.
And does this happen? You know, does this transcend from first year to like third year students, or is it just typically this happens for first year?
You know what? When we were first starting off, we were seeing this more with just first year. But what we're noticing now is that it's happening throughout all the years.
Wow.
Right?
Interesting.
It's becoming more. It's become more high maintenance. The parents are expecting more. The parents are feeling very entitled also. We hear the line all the time, well, I'm paying for this, so I should be able to do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I should be able to get the information. We're talking to the schools, and I was just talking to the president of one of the universities, and they mentioned that a parent had called and left numerous voicemails with him because they wanted to speak to him about why their child didn't get into one of the programs. They feel that they have the right to call the president of a university to find out why their child didn't get it.
Yeah, just to interject, I mean, this is very important and very good information for our listeners and those people that are interested in getting into this business. I mean, what I'm hearing here is that if you want to get into this business, it is management intensive, and you're not dealing simply with the student as the renter. You are dealing with their parents, and you are dealing with them on a regular basis. So be prepared, right?
Absolutely, be prepared, right? And that's just it. Like the parents, you know, it's not just the kids. They learn from somewhere. They feel very entitled. But we'll even have students. Again, we have people from the university working with us all the time. We'll have people within the co-op program saying, calling in, getting the parents to call in and say, did my kid get a job? And the schools will have to say, no, we can't tell you this kind of information. They're adults. You'll have to get it from your child, right? And again, that same line comes out, well, I'm paying for the education, so I should be able to find out. They don't have right, but they're still going to go and fight for this. And you still have to have the processes in place, and you have to know how to handle this,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know, another really important point is that the parents are paying for the education, as we said, and they can afford the best for their kids, right? If we were to think about it, you have a student that's going to go to university in North Bay or wherever, where the rents are going to probably start at a lot cheaper, around $400 a month, versus somewhere where in Toronto or in Montreal, where they're paying $1,000 a room, and sometimes they're having to share that room with someone else, right? If you really think about it, a lot of these kids are coming from parents with the same means. So if they're going to Waterloo or they're going to Toronto, they have the ability to pay it. 2 or 3 years ago, when the first purpose-built student rooms were coming up, we thought that $650 was a ludicrous amount for any student to pay, and no one would pay that to live in one of these brand new buildings. We were obviously very wrong, because now you're seeing a market that's willing to pay $800 or more to live in something that they want. And it's not that the students have the money to do that. The parents have the money to pay it because they want their sons and daughters to have the best possible chance to succeed with study rooms, with security, a safe place, a brand new place for them to live.
Sure.
Right? And the parents have also paid. They've saved up for 15 years of their lives to spend on their children. So they're ready to go. Right? We always joke around helicopter parents. Everyone's heard about that. They hover around. We didn't even call them helicopter parents anymore. We call them Black Hawk parents, because they're ready. They're coming to get you. They're coming in.
Right.
And they're targeted on you. Right? So knowing this now, again, information is power. What we do is we market a lot to the parents. The parents will call in for their children. We know this. We train our staff on how to handle parents versus how to speak to students. Parents, the older generation, enjoy and like an office or a bricks and mortar business. We have over 5,000 square feet within our office, model pods and showrooms, very similar to what you would see in a model show home for buying and selling houses or condos, or that you would see in IKEA. And we're looking to the United States, to America, to see what they're doing and trying to follow their trends, so that we can make their investments and their time as good as possible.
So despite it being a virtual world and computers and online bookings and so forth and so on, what you're saying though is that the parents still want to have a quote unquote a physical experience, and that they want to be able to see, touch, feel the finishes, what the rooms are going to look like, and so forth. And so you've accommodated them by having this showroom application in your offices where they can actually see this stuff, right?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
That's just it, right? Like,
Yeah.
you don't want them to be, you don't want the parents and the kids anymore to come and sign a lease out of a trunk while having a pitcher of beer, right? I think that was something 5 years ago.
Right.
And when we first started off, it was okay. We would meet at the Tim Hortons. We'd sign some paperwork, and the kids would come along, and they'd come with their friends and get it all done and over with, right? Now it's very different. The parents are there from start to finish a lot of the time, right? And that's just it. Pay attention to them because they're the ones that are bringing the money. And just like any condo or anything else out there, you can amenitize the heck out of your building. There's a good chance that they won't use it, but it does sell in the end to not just the students but the parents too, because they're going to go back to their friends and say, my Jenny's going to a prestigious university studying life sciences, and she's living in a beautiful penthouse suite with 22-foot ceilings, glass everywhere. They love to brag about their kids, and I think that's something that we have to play into a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So this, obviously, property management is key.
Absolutely, beyond key, right? And we're biased by saying this, but we really, truly believe this. If we always joke around and say, if you were to have a problem with your heart, you wouldn't get your family doctor to operate on it, right? And so it's the same thing in student property management. Why is managing student housing so different? It's truly just so high maintenance now. If you were to think of a 5-bedroom unit, you're going to sign a 5-bedroom unit. You're going to have 5 students in there, but then you're also going to have 5 sets of parents.
Right.
50 people.
Yeah.
And the reality is a lot of people are divorced now, so you're even going to have more sometimes. So, we'll have 20 people coming in and working and coordinating just to sign one lease.
Wow.
And they're the same people that will want to come in for a second and third viewing so they can measure things, even though we have online floor plans, just to make sure that everything is right, right? You have to have the right management in place to manage this product. Otherwise, you can lose your shirt. There's a lot of things that we've experienced within the past 7, 8 years that we've been in business. We made a lot of mistakes, and we want to make sure that investors don't make those same mistakes, right? This is a very lucrative market with a lot of upside and potential, but it has to be managed properly. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long and tough, hard-fought battle.
I bet.
Yeah, we're asked all the time what we feel are the emerging markets within student housing. Across Canada, there are a lot of opportunities to develop and own in the student housing asset class. The ones that come to mind right now are Guelph, Hamilton, London, Kingston, and Ottawa, among others. And then there's a lot of potential in the secondary university markets, such as North Bay, Sudbury, and Windsor, where what we say is try to go for those primary universities, the number ones of all the students, right? But if that's not possible, look at the lower end of the spectrum and look at the North Bays or the Windsors, where you can get real estate very cheap, but it's not directly proportional to how much rent we're getting.
So let's talk about proximity to the university. So you talked about the cities. If I'm a would-be developer and I'm looking to build some student housing, does it matter how close I am to the university? Does that make a difference in terms of the potential success of my development?
Yeah, absolutely. So, real estate is all about location, location, location. In student housing, it's even more about location, unless you've done something to really address that. What they've done in the States, because it's so competitive, is that they've just created shuttle buses for their residences and their residents to use to get onto campus. If you're able to do that, then maybe you can sell the idea of having being 20 minutes away, but only being a 5-minute bus ride away, versus being 5 minutes away by walking, or 5 minutes away by walking, and then to the edge of campus, and then another 10 minutes to wherever you're trying to go. So location is very important. But the other thing is, once the market starts being developed, right, you can say that you're close because you're the closest right now to the university, the closest purpose-built project to the university. what might happen is that someone might plop in halfway through that point, and now all of a sudden you're not the closest anymore, right? So that's something that you have to consider if you're
Sure.
going to be going into this asset class. If you're thinking that your product is a bit further away anyways, maybe it's something where you don't want to build and hold. You might want to build condo and sell off piece by piece. If you're right beside the university, it might make more sense to build and hold because you'll always have that one
Advantage.
that one advantage, that one competitive advantage that's always going to keep you on top.
Good
so
advice.
Again, like that's something that the real estate, that Brad will be able to help you with, and we'll be able to help you with that too. We'll go in, we'll focus group, we'll find out what their intentions are, what they're looking for, and exactly what the students are thinking are important, not important, and everything like that.
Sure, and perhaps at the end of your presentation, you can talk about. I'd love for you to tell the folks about the hotel conversion in Windsor and how you approach that, because there were some location challenges there, but I think you guys did some pretty interesting things to overcome that. So maybe we can, and just the conversion alone, I think is a pretty cool experience that I'd love for you to talk about if you mind. So anyways, so let's go on. Market indications.
Market indication. So within the Waterloo market, and this is really just within the Waterloo market, we know that, and the slides, I'm going to have to apologize, the slides are a bit old, but we know that within 2013, 14, 14, 15, there's going to be 2,000 purpose-built student rooms coming online.
Right.
Right. Waterloo market is going to need time to stabilize a bit, and the reality is, because of this, Waterloo won't be as hot of a market for developers, and there will be more purpose-built student housing coming to Canada, across Canada, not just simply in Waterloo. The reality is, if your product is not managed properly, you will run into problems, right? And one of the biggest things is you have to make sure to finish on time. There's nothing worse in student housing than not finishing on time. Here's just a couple examples of buildings that we've managed here in Waterloo. And this is a perfect example, 167 King Street North, 12 stories, 41 units, 205 beds, ICF construction, mainly 5-bedroom, 2-bath units, right beside the university, pretty much touching it. Pre-construction was hard. Because of the location, it was actually a detriment to this property because they were on such a tight deadline. It looked like the building wasn't going to be done. So because of this, the students would walk by and they wouldn't rent because they felt that it wouldn't be done. Right? After the first year, the retention was the highest in our portfolio, and as of the end of January 2013, we were 90% rented for September 2013 and fully rented for September 2014.
Wow.
Right? This building recently sold for $17 million, pretty much. Right. The other one that you'll see in the video, if you Google it, you can see it, 64 Marshall Street, 6-story, 23 suites, 115 bedrooms, 5-bed, 5-bath units, bed-bath parity, 100% rented for 2012, September, 83% rented for September 2013. At the time that this slide was made, it was fully rented for September 2013, and right now we're 98% rented for September 2014. Right, and it's still currently owned by the developer.
Right.
It wasn't sold off. Sage Condos is another great.
And we saw a photo of these. These are really high-end that you were showing us
Absolutely,
earlier.
really high-end suites, and they really are just condos, right, that you would see in Toronto. 12 stories, 53 suites, 234 rooms total. You're starting to see the first use of mixed-use residential, commercial, and retail spaces within a building. Rents were $735 and up a month, all the way to $850 for the penthouses. 95% full for September 2013. It got 100% full, and right now, again, we're about 90% full for September 2014. Sage 1 sold out to investors in 2 weeks, and it sold out all the way until Sage 6, and now they have Ivy Towns 1, 2, and 3, which is about 80% sold out each. Right?
Amazing.
And so like one of the questions you had was Windsor. That was another way to get into the student housing world. You can buy a portfolio, you can develop your own land, or the other way is you can convert existing buildings into student housing. In Windsor, there were 2 hotels right beside each other, and the developer decided, with Derek's help, that it would be okay to rent to students, even though it was quite far away. The reality was that behind the hotel, there was the bus station. So we included a bus pass for any of the students that came to this location. It was a hotel. It was converted by adding in kitchenettes in there, and we managed to get 120 rooms rented in only pretty much 2 months over there.
That was amazing.
And the reality is also we were achieving rents of $745 a month, $795 a month in a market such as Windsor, where you're seeing rents as low as $295 or $350. I think that in itself is extraordinary. If we were to go in there and we were to do 1,000 rooms like this, then I think we'd be up a creek. But the reality is there is a market for a luxury student housing building pretty much almost anywhere, and I think Windsor was a perfect example of that.
Mm-hmm. So there's something for would-be investors to think about, in that if you are looking for a student housing investment opportunity, don't overlook a hotel that might be very nearby, and maybe looking at from a conversion perspective. And so obviously, you know, Domus was successful in assisting the developer and making that a reality, and obviously it's been a very successful endeavor and project. And where is that? Maybe you can give it a bit of a plug in Windsor?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Club Riverside. We've rebranded to Club Riverside now. It's at 333 Riverside Drive West. It's right on the waterfront, and we're renting for September 2014 also, and I think things are going very well over there right now.
Fantastic. Well, Ho, this has been a great presentation. I've learned a lot. I'm sure those people that are listening have learned a lot. Now, if they want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you? Where do they find you? And obviously, you're open to phone calls and potential business, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So, if you ever want to find out more about us, our website is www.domushousing.com. My number is 519-342-0608, extension 106, and my email is ho, tech, T-E-K, @domushousing.com. That's all on the website, and like what I said, we look forward to anyone contacting us, even if it's just to bounce around ideas. And if you are going into the student housing market, we're very anxious to take on your business.
That's great. And ladies and gentlemen, as I've said earlier, we have no hesitation in saying that Domus are pretty much the best at what they do. They have certainly learned from the ground up, and as Ho so graciously stated, they've made some mistakes along the way, but as a result, they've learned a lot, and they're willing to share that knowledge with you. And if you are an investor that currently holds some student housing, we encourage you to look to Domus for their property management services, and if you're looking to develop, we certainly encourage you to call them for any consulting services that you may require. They're great people to deal with. We certainly at Rock feel fortunate to have partners like Ho and Tara, and we are just so proud of what they've accomplished and know that they're going to continue to grow, and we're just very happy to be a part of that growth in any way. So thank you very much, Ho, and look forward to seeing you at Oktoberfest, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And ladies and gentlemen, now we are looking at our year-to-date sales. Number of sales, 185. Total value of those sales, $940 million. Largest transaction last month, Oak Heights in Toronto, $38 million, and highest price per unit, $343,833 on Humewood Drive. Sales transactions, we've got, well, this is interesting, 38% in the GTA and 33% in the Hamilton and Niagara area. Yonge Street in Toronto, $179,000 per unit. It's a mixed-use building built in 1947, 32 units. Westover Manor at Jameson Avenue, $149,000. And that was built in 1956, 72 units. There's underground parking there. This is the Oak Heights building, $38,000, $116,000 per unit, 327 units, built in 1972 with underground parking. So big solid building. And this is the Humewood project. $343,000 per unit, 6 units. And this was built in 1923. Obviously, there have been some upgrades Phenomenal location, and looks like it could be a redevelopment opportunity. The southwest, we've got Elgin Street North in Cambridge, 99,000. So this is interesting. You've got these outlying markets approaching the $100,000 per unit mark. Kitchener, 86,000. 87 Westwood Drive, 21 units. Pearl Street in Sudbury, Sudbury at 49,000. So obviously that's smaller city, northern Ontario. If you're looking to invest and you're willing to go up that far. St. Catharines, 88,000. So again, very much approaching that $100,000 mark. Once again in St. Catharines, well, there's a deal to be had, $59,000, 32-unit apartment. We certainly appreciate your time. Next webinar is actually one of my favorites, and that's what's going on in the market. Roundtable discussion. We're going to have some agents at the table that can share some of their personal experiences out in the market and what's happening, so you get a sort of a ground or a ground floor experience of what's happening out there. We certainly appreciate your time. We ask that you would visit our website, find out what our upcoming webinars are, and as well, if you're interested in co-brokerage opportunities, we'd love to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time, and have yourself a great day.